The next question comes to us from, again, another Instagram user, and the question is simply, was there anything that pushed you in this direction, or was there anything that was kind of the determining factor for why you became successful? So there were really two things, and I've kind of discussed both of these in previous videos on a separate basis, but I'll kind of try to make it short for those of you that have already heard this. There were two main things. The first one was that I've never had a lot of money in our family, and I never had the opportunity to do the things I wanted when I was younger, because me and my mom were kind of like this duo, and all we had was kind of our survivorship and our ability to kind of go into new environments and try to make it. And so my mom struggled a lot because we constantly were changing countries in order to kind of find a better opportunity. But every time we did that, it was almost like a reset button, and we had to start all over again. Either it was the language, or it was the business dynamics, or it was just what we would do in business. All of these things came from kind of the baseline of nothing and kind of grew into something. That something just wasn't enough for us to live lavishly or to live well. So at some point or another, my ass was against the wall, and I figured the only way I would get anywhere was to really push for myself. So having your ass against the wall is one of the main reasons why people become really successful. Like if you think about when you have resources, when you have money, you tend to spend more money. You tend to not think about the consequences of doing things because you feel you have the security blanket. Now, when you don't have money, and when you are against kind of like stuck against the wall, then you have to kind of come up with new ways to be creative, but then new ways to be resourceful, because money, which is a resource, is not available to you. So you become very entrepreneurial in the way you think, and you push your resources to the furthest degree possible. So you make your dollars stretch, right? And so one of the things that happens, as much as you make your dollars stretch, you make your mind and your beliefs stretch a lot too, because you don't have anything else to use. So you don't have a lot of money, you may not even have any money, but at least you have your mind and the ability to push forward and come up with new ways to get things done. So I always give this example, which is perfect in this case. When you're at the gym, if you have a spotter, you can only bench so much weight, but without a spotter, you suddenly become stronger because your life is at stake if you're trying to max. You could drop the weight. So you're less likely to give up, or less likely to hurt yourself. I mean, in the sense of like actually like pushing more weight, because your body understand that its survival is dependent upon that action. So it gives it a lot more through that mode. And the same occurs in business. When your ass is against the wall and you have no money, or you're going through a bad time, that's the time when you become most adept and come up with new ways to be successful. So those are some of the kind of key components at that point that makes a person successful. You don't have to have your ass against the wall, but suddenly you become very resourceful when it is. The other thing for me was when I was growing up, I've always shared this story, but it's an important story. My uncle took me out test driving. He took me test driving kind of a Z28 Camaro, which at the time, as a kid, that was like a beautiful car. It was a V8. I was really impressed. And again, everything has its time, so don't start dissing me on it. It wasn't a Lamborghini or whatever. Like I said, we didn't have much money growing up. So we had this Z28, and he really liked the Z28. Apparently, he had a history with that, with kind of like that car from back in his own days. So he wanted to go out and drive a newer one. So we went and test drove one. He took me along. We put the T-tops down. I got really like impressed. And I thought, here's the funny part, like stupid me, actually thought that he was, because it was right around the time when I was looking for a car. I thought he was taking me to test drive a car for me. So I get all excited. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm hearing all my friends talking about V8s, and I'm going to get a 340 horsepower V8. And so, I got really like excited, right? I'm test driving this. I remember it's this dark green Camaro. It was a Z28, and it had like all these options. And I thought, wow, like this is incredible that my uncle's so generous. He's going to buy me a Z28. So I'm getting all excited and everything. And then after the test drive, I was like, oh my God, like I should definitely buy this. So yeah, I was like, that's the car to buy. And he looks at me and is like, for what? And I was like, well, for me. Like, isn't this for me? He's like, no. It's just like, I just really like that car. So I wanted to drive it for myself to see if I enjoyed, like, the new Z28. And I was like, what do you mean for you? I was like, I'm the one that needs a car. You already have a car. And he's like, well, yeah, but if you're going to get a car, he's like, either I'm going to give you the Ford Probe I'm giving your mom, or then you're going to get, like, a Corolla or something, and you can, kind of make your own payments. I was like, Corolla? I was like, the four-cylinder? Like, and remember, you're a kid. You see all your friends. You're in a rich high school. You see all your friends have nice, like, cars. And then you're like sitting there, like, a Corolla. I can't do anything with Corolla. Yeah, I can't even get girls with a Corolla, right? So what do? I realized at that moment, like this is really important. I realized at that moment that I really don't like feeling that way. And the question is like feeling what way? And it's feeling a way that someone else gets to determine how successful or unsuccessful you become with something. So I really don't like that idea, right? Like I really don't like the idea at this moment. I'm very young, but I don't like the fact that even though this person didn't mean something wrong, like it's my uncle, is like my dad, he doesn't mean like anything bad by you're not getting this. He's only being fair, right? He's like, if you want something better, you have to go earn it. I'm not going to give you a Z20 to start with. But I really don't like this feeling of someone else deciding what I should or shouldn't have. And so my goal at that point didn't become to make money so I can go buy the car. My goal was to make money at that point so I can prove that I don't need someone else to buy me a car. So the end result is the same, right? It's getting the car. But the reason why you get it is what pushes you to go further in life. The reason why you want something means a lot more sometimes than actually acquiring the item itself. You know, we hear a lot of people say, and this is going to be a long video, so sorry for the ear fucking, but we hear people say a lot, like they say something like, I'm going to get a Lamborghini, and you've seen this article on Secret Entourage where I talk about the $600 bet. People are like, I'm going to get a Lamborghini in 2 years, and then in 2 years, I like go, literally, I find them, and I'm like, where that Lamborghini at? And they're like, oh yeah, blah, blah. I'm like, what does that mean? And they're like, well, family. I'm like, I don't give a shit about your family. They're like, you said you were going to do something 2 years later. Did you do it? And the answer is no. But here's the best part. They don't actually say like, oh, well, guess what? I got 80% of the way there, and then this came up, and my wife got pregnant, or whatever happened, so I couldn't finish it. Instead, they never started it. You see, that's the way human nature works. People make goals for themselves that they never believe they can attain, so they never even try to attain them. Think about that guy. Like, he had 2 years. He could have said, hey, I got 50% of the way there, 50% of the way to my Lamborghini. Here's 100,000 in my account. I unfortunately didn't make it all the way because of these events, and yes, I gave up, but at least I tried. You see, they don't even try. They don't even get near that dollar. And so what ends up happening is they ultimately end up failing because they've never actually believed they could start. So that's kind of how the whole process works. And so you should be very aware of this. And ultimately, hopefully, this can help you kind of for yourself set better goals and get further in life. To us here was, when you're really multi-talented or you love doing many things, how do you pick one real thing to focus on? That's a really good question.